photographic negatives was old and out of date. He neglects to mention that this printout, not to mention any new one, had been unavailable to non-members of the international team until Eisenman put it into circulation. Eisenman responded to Strugnell's brush-off by going as public as he possibly could. By the middle of 1989, the issue had become a cause célèbre in American and Israeli newspapers, and to a lesser degree was picked up by the British press as well. Eisenman was extensively and repeatedly quoted by the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, Time magazine, and Canada's Maclean's magazine. He stressed 5 major points: that all research on the Dead Sea Scrolls was being unfairly monopolized by a small enclave of scholars with vested interest and a biased orientation, that only a small percentage of the Qumran material was finding its way into print, and that most of it was still being withheld, that it was misleading to claim that the bulk of the so-called biblical texts had been released because the most important material consisted of the so-called sectarian texts, new texts never seen before, with a great bearing on the history and religious life of the first century, that after 40 years access to the scrolls should be made available to all interested scholars, that AMS carbon-14 test monitored by independent laboratories and researchers should immediately be conducted on the Qumran documents. As was perhaps inevitable once the media had begun to sensationalize it, the affair quickly degenerated, with Eisenman being misquoted on 2 separate occasions, and a barrage of invective coming from both sides. But behind the clash of egos, the central issue remained unresolved. As Philip Davies had written in 1988, any archaeologist or scholar who digs or finds a text but does not pass on what has been found deserves to be locked up as an enemy of science. After 40 years, we have neither a full and definitive report on the dig nor a full publication of the scrolls.